Civil War, we'll get to the dark stuff in a moment, but post-Civil War, Texas. So it's actually filmed in colour in Monument Valley. It's the southwest deserts, the iconic florid landscape. One more time. Post-Civil War, the South has given up. Ethan Edwards did not surrender. He's the lone Southerner, still bitterly fighting the Civil War in his head. He's a maverick, he's a renegade, he's an outsider. The famous from Marcus Scorsese, when you look at Wayne in The Searchers, it's like Elia Kazan 50s. He's like Montgomery Clift, Marlon Brando, James Dean. Conflicted, angst-ridden, tormented. He's got much more in common with the angst-ridden 50s actors, the method actors, Marlon Brando, James Dean, Montgomery Clift. Thomas Wayne doing that. That's what Ford is territory into. So after the Civil War, homesteads in the southwest. Edwards returns to his brother's home. There is a complex image of community. There is a love triangle. His brother marries the woman Edwards loved. So there's a very difficult love triangle between the three in the first 20 minutes. The relation between the brothers over the woman. This was years ago. They've now got children, grown-up children, but the love triangle is there. In the first 15 minutes of The Searchers, Ford, 20 minutes, 15, constructs one of the most intense views of community and family in all of his life's work. For 15 minutes, family, community, the frontier homestead. Family dynamics, the kids, sweethearts, visitors come by, the warmth of the family home. Human, warm, vibrant, celebratory. Wonderful. And then psycho-like, 20 minutes in, they're all wiped out in horrific circumstances of an Indian raid, mutilated and tortured to death. And it sends Edwards over the edge into the great obsessive quest. He becomes like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, the obsessive quest. His family, even though he's distant, are wiped out. This is revenge, the great revenge quest. You never see the four horrors that are hinted at, that are all the more appalling. You never see the mutilated bodies, but we'll get to the sequence where you get to them. Real horror, horrific, nightmare thing. Texas Rangers, nearby farmsteads, other farmers. The men have been drawn away for the killing raid. They all come back. There's a funeral, a Ford funeral. They gather at the river. And then the great revenge quest begins. And it's a long film. This great epic journey of 5 years begins. Seasons pass. Winter comes. Spring comes. Winter. The cycle of seasons roll round. And the obsessive quest over years goes on. They've all been killed except for the little girl. The teenage girl has been killed. The little girl is taken. But she's growing up. And here when it really gets murky. This is a film about racism. Ethan Edwards is fanatically, racially hatred of Indians. The young adopted boy that comes on the quest with him is part Indian. Edwards once saved his life, but he's part Indian. The racial subtext is everywhere. Then it gets sexual. The little girl is growing up over the years. Taken by the Indian tribe, Comanche warrior bands, she'll be used as a sexual object for all the male warriors. She'll be passed around sexually between all the Comanche warriors. And as the quest goes on, you start to realise this is not about saving her. This is about finding and killing her. Quote, putting her out of her misery. Look at the racist, white, sexual thing going on in Edwards. He's obsessed by her sexuality in that Indian tribe, being defiled. And so gradually you realise this is a quest of revenge and killing. He's not going to save her, he's going to kill her. Or he doesn't quite know what he's going to do. And he doesn't know what he's going to do. But he's likely to kill her to save her. So it gets darker and darker and darker. And on the great quest, Ford takes you through the whole of his landscape. Frontier towns, trading posts, cavalry units, homesteads, the great mythic landscape of the West, themes, characters, and still Edwards goes on in search of the warrior band. And the torturing Indian chief, Scar, is kind of a Indian version of Wayne. He's seeking his own goal. Scar is as obsessive and revenge-filled, as violent and dangerous as Edwards. They're mirror images of each other on this quest. Torture, mutilation, horrific killing, racism, obsession, violence, insanity. Really tough film. They think they found the girl at a cavalry station. He arrives, there are two girls. Neither is Debbie. He starts to leave the room, and there's this kind of insane laugh. Well, they've gone insane, the girls got insane. There's this insane laugh from one of the girls, the teenage girls. And Ford's camera, like Scorsese's later, goes right into Edward's face as he looks back at the insane girl. And you realise at that moment, he's probably going to kill Debbie, not save her. He's not going to let her end up like that. Better to put her out of her misery and kill her. So the themes get ever darker on the search. It's the dark quest. And yet, humour, knockabout farce, side by side with this. There's an old Indian scout. All the main themes keep being done in a comic vein to the old Indian scout. You've got this fixation of rocking chairs. If Ethan Edwards is obsessive and dangerous, that comic theme is the Indian scout. You've got this obsession about rocking chairs. Every time he arrives at the house, he's in the rocking chair. So he leaves the house at the beginning. Thank you for the hospitality of your rocking chair, Mom. So darkness and humour. Knockabout farce. In some of the fights between the kind of young, lads over a girlfriend. Absolute different tones jar side by side. You just don't know what to make of what you're seeing. You keep being moved around. This is Ford at its most relentless. It's like this is the dark subtext he's never allowed to surface before. Very dark side concerning the IRA in the early 20th century, he said, the Irish-English thing used to drive him mad. There's a very dark side to Ford. In searches, he's allowed all the dark subtext to come to the surface. And yet, it also is positive reading of America. And so you've got everything in the searches. The great moment when the great fight against the Comanche tribes, when he finally finds Debbie, the young Natalie Wood, he hunts her like an animal. She knows instinctively she's terrified of him. It's her uncle alive, to take her home. She's terrified. Instinctive, she knows. And she's running. He's on a horse, like a hunter of an animal. And she's in the desert in a cave, and you've got kind of 6'6" Wayne. And it's the great moment Jean-Luc Godard talks about. It's all done physically. It's total physicality of Ford cinema. This huge Wayne takes this young teenage girl, and he literally lifts her above his head like a rag doll, and then brings her down to his chest like an uncle. So the racism versus the uncle. And then the words are, "Let's go home, Debbie." That dangerous racist element, in the end, family wins over, and he acknowledges her innocence and becomes protector. But up to that moment, he is supremely dangerous. This is one of Wayne's greatest performances, only made possible by Wayne having been in Howard Hawks' Red River. Ford didn't believe Wayne was capable of this. Then Wayne in the late 40s in Hawks' Red River, which is as complex as this, and Ford understood and pushed Wayne to the limit in this. One of the greatest performances of Wayne ever. So, the great dark tragedy. At the end, the reconstituting of community. The film opens with an open door, a door opening onto the desert. The film ends with a door closing. Everyone gathers at the end, community reconstructed. Wayne watches everybody go in, and then doesn't enter the house, and walks out alone into the desert, and the door closes on him. The outside of the enormously complicated. Scorsese reckons it's one of the most morally complex American films ever. This is Ford at its most complex. We'll look at the opening 25 minutes. Big chunk of Ford, Searchers. Let's look at how he structures the tragedy. Look at the key emblematic moments. As Wayne sees the burning farmhouse, the death of the family, it's all physical. He takes the rifle with his buckskin sheath and he just pulls it to the side so the sheath comes off the rifle. It's the unsheathing of the rifle. For the rest of his life, he's a warrior. That will never be sheathed again. The opening of the weapon. And it's all done in one movement. The unsheathing of the rifle. Now, Ford can do that. Many people say, Searchers, that's it. That's Ford at its greatest. If you do that, you don't understand Ford. It's the Searchers plus Liberty Valance. It's not, the ending is not one film, it's two films. Everything depends on understanding how Searchers relates to Liberty Valance. And I'll run the long domestic scene in Liberty Valance up to the coming of the psychopaths. The gang of killers led by the most dangerous, sadistic, everything together. It's not a tragedy in the Searchers sense, or it might be a tragedy in a different sense. It's Ford's myth of the death of the West. His entire reading of American history is in Liberty Valance. Finally, Ford is close to Orson Welles. Just as Orson Welles, in Chimes at Midnight, after Easter, is close to Ford. They somehow match each other at the end. As a narrative, this is the most Wellesian of all Ford films. It's a single narrative about America, as in Wells. Not a panorama of films, but a constructed mythical narrative, as Citizen Kane or Anderson or Lady from Shanghai is. A single mythic narrative which encapsulates America. Like Citizen Kane, it encapsulates America. The narrative is vital. For the first time ever, he uses James Stewart. Stewart's never acted in Ford. He brings James Stewart as a star persona into the Ford world. The great moral opposites will be Wayne and Stewart. The whole film, remember, Expendable, played off Montgomery and Wayne. All of this will play off Wayne and Stewart. The narrative is simple. As in Citizen Kane, the levels of interpretation are vast. Here is the narrative. A frontier town. Like Robert Town and Roman Polanski in Chinatown, this is a film about water. Water rights. Polanski's Chinatown is about the water rights of 30s Los Angeles. This is about water rights. Water and the desert. Water and the garden. Water and cultivation. Water and the desert will bloom. Who owns the water? When you hear the phrase, the picket wire, in the excerpt, that's the name of the river. South of the picket wire is the great river, the source of water. There are ranch wars going on over water in the frontier. Community town, up against the great capitalist ranchers. You never see the capitalist ranchers. You only ever see their hired killers. The capitalist ranchers are given a face in their hired killers, led by the sadist Liberty Valance, Lee Marvin. There's a war going on over water. The ranchers want to have total access to water versus the community water of the frontier. It's an issue of boundaries, of fences, of fencing in the water and who gets it. The town is up against hired killers. Who's going to survive this? Into town comes a lawyer, Rance Stoddard, played by Stewart. And in the opening of the film, he runs right into the killers and is horsewhipped. Valance likes to kill by whipping people to death. He has this huge horsewhip. He'll whip you to death. And he gets a horsewhipping. From that moment on, they're on a collision course. Here's a lawyer. Literate, literacy, education, reading, book knowledge, the law. He brings Eastern civilization to the frontier town. He is the future. Civilized, educated, literate, legal, the word of the law.
Often very sounds a lot like that.
Cost is taking all kinds of stuff.
It's not completely like the capitalists want to take over the rest.
Yeah, well there you go. He's taking lots of stuff. In the town is a couple. Quite old couple, but a couple. It's Wayne and Vera Miles, who are an item. It's just they haven't got around to marrying, but they're an item. There comes another love triangle at the centre of the film. Stuart, Wayne and Vera Miles. There's kind of love triangle going on. But it's a very profound love triangle. Let me suggest this. The greatest American narrative in the novel is Great Gatsby, the future of America. That's structured around the single girl and which man she chooses. The idealistic dreamer or the capitalist, brutal, whatever. She chooses the brutal capitalist. The dreamer is destroyed. Ford's narrative works like that. You need to know associations. Wayne is the 19th century. Stuart is the 20th century to come. In two charismatic personas, he embodies American history. Wayne is the frontier. Lawlessness. He can barely read. Uses the gun. Toughness, violence. He's a kind of protector of community in the old ways. Tough, possibly violent, the way of the gun. Stuart is the future of America. Civilized, educated, literate, legal, the way of the book. In the narrative, there is this vast move from the old to the new. You witness the death of the old America and the move of America into the 20th century. The death of Wayne is at the heart of the film. As Wayne is destroyed, the frontier ends, and the Western genre closes in Ford. But it's how Wayne dies that's crucial. I'm going to run the sequence of the confrontation with the killers. The key is this. You've got the whole frontier town, frontier values, the canteens, the saloons, the newspaper man, the newspaper offices, journalism, the school, the teachers, community. The hinge of the narrative is this. Stuart, the future, legal, the man of the book, runs directly up against the killer. Valance is going to kill him and challenges him to come out at night in the street, and Valance is going to kill him. Will you do that? It's a challenge. Valance is going to kill him. Don't run. Face me. I'm going to kill you. And he's got no chance. He's got no chance. So Wayne, from Donathan, he's got about a week to train him how to fight with a gun. Useless. Can't do it. It's no good. But he won't run away. And so the night comes when Valance says to be there. Stuart goes out and miraculously survives. Valance is playing with him statistically, not killing him straight away, and with one lucky shot, he kills Valance, apparently. He becomes the hero of the town, the future, the 20th century being born. Donathan self-destructs. Stuart gets the girl, Donathan loses everything, he self-destructs. Burns his farm that he was building for the girl, becomes a alcoholic, total self-destruction. And then you realise you're dealing with a citizen claim structure. There are different versions of what happened that night. And then the whole film turns, the alternative narrative, and the whole film plays again a different version of that night. Now, like Wells, Ford's camera, exactly the same events. Same events. But Ford's camera is in totally different places on the set. Totally different viewpoints on the same events. And what you realise you're witnessing is a sacrifice. An act of sacrifice. Donovan knows the lawyer cannot survive this. And so the alternative, what really happened that night, in a dark alley, Donovan, Wayne, and we started waiting with rifle. And with a sadistic game going on in the street, the second Stewart tries to shoot, Wayne guns down, Valance. And then the two guys just walk away. The man who shot Liberty Valance. What you witness is a sacrifice. But it costs him everything. It costs him love, the woman he loves, domesticity, a family, home, children. And having given that, of course the girl, Vera Miles, is now totally with Stewart, who survived, and rejects Wayne. Wayne self-destructs, Donovan self-destructs. And what you realise you witnessed is a sacrifice. He gave everything for what in the end is the future. He knows the older ways are over. The future is with Stewart, the lawyer. Intervenes, kills, saves the lawyer, but destroys his own life in the process. And you witness this vast mythic narrative. The old America sacrifices itself so that the new America, civilized America, can be born. It's a death and birth myth of America. You watch the 19th century die and the 20th century being born. The film begins in a funeral in the early 20th century. We saw that in an excerpt first week. The lawyer is now a senator in politics. He married the woman. They come back. Donovan is a pauper's funeral in a pine box. And they all come back to remember what the sacrifice was. And the whole film, like Cain, is flashbacks to what the actual myth of sacrifice was. So like Cain, it keeps turning on itself with time and alternative versions. But the heart of it is a sacrifice. This is the death of the West myth at last in full. But it's all done by his key actors. It's Wayne's persona in the Western that carries this incredible weight of the myth of the death of the West. And the act of sacrifice, which of course is very full, strength, endurance, courage, sacrifice. Incredibly complex stuff. And in the middle of it, great discursive passages. Stewart as a teacher in the schoolroom. Declaration of Independence. Pursuit of liberty. Equality. Black and white. Lincoln. America. Building America. Great statements about what America is. As you watch this vast drama, mythic drama of death and renewal. Extraordinary. Extraordinary. Two films together. This is Ford at the edge of his capacities, pushing cinema like Kubrick in his natural way. But this is almost a Kubrick level of complexity. all of Ford's subtexts are now going to be laid bare. He's going to make his final statements. But being Ford, they're incredibly subtle, but they're enormously synoptic and wide-ranging. These two films, Ford, at the end, the ultimate reading of the nature of America, the myths, the values, all its narratives, all its themes come together in two masterpieces, two of the great films of American cinema, Searchers and Liberty Valance. Look at Liberty Valance by itself. That's one thing. Look at Liberty Valance now, after how we've looked at Ford, and you'll realise the levels and levels and levels in Liberty Valance. At the beginning, as they come back to the funeral, there's an old stagecoach in the corner, and of course it's the actual prop out of the 1939 stagecoach. Here is the subtlety of Ford. You're actually going to see it in the sequence. This is what Ford is able to do. There's going to be a confrontation with the killers in the canteen. Stewart is feminised. He's got a penny on, like a woman, and he's waiting tables. And he walks into these macho, psycho males who humiliate him, trip him over, get him on the floor. And there's this moment where Valance and Wayne face off with the feminised Stewart on the floor. And when it's all over, and Stewart's going to have to face this psycho, Ford just looks at Wayne. And Wayne's just finished his dinner, a steak. And he's got a dinner plate in his hand. And he just does that. That's all he does. Plate goes up and down. He is weighing Stewart. A great moral moment of choice. When he defends this man and maybe give up everything, it's in the movement of a dinner plate. As he looks and sees the implications, and he's looking at Stewart across the frame, the dinner plate just does that. He's weighing up the man. And it's physically embodied in just how he, that deep moral moment, the weighing of the dinner plate, weighing of Stewart, and he makes up his mind. This man will never survive this. If he's going to intervene, he's going to have to really intervene as a killer. The great turning point of the film, just look, dinner plate. It's as subtle as that. That's Ford's art. Totally natural, endless meanings in the simplest physical gesture. That's Ford. Let's look at 45 minutes of Ford. Can somebody have a go at those curtains, see if it does together? Let's look at the opening of the Searchers. Let's look at the canteen confrontation and the dinner plate. Liberty Valance. So just look at 45 minutes of Ford. Just see how it works on you now. And now you should really get what Ford is doing. Okay. The people want to move in a bit. In the middle? Want to move in a bit? Get a better view. Everyone want to move the seats to be over? Okay, here. How's that? Everything okay? Okay, on over here. Okay, let's look at the great opening of the Searchers. Everything comes together. Everything comes together. Look how. The community and its ultimate total destruction, the revenge begins. Look how everything is laid in.
You're talking about the main character.
Yes.
How about the second character?
Oh yes. It goes all the way through every character.
The half Indian in.
Yes. Every single character is a moral centre in Ford.
but you have to become his own enemy.
Yeah? No, it's,
You don't have to become.
everyone has their role. One final last reflexive twist. In the farmhouse, when the Texas Rangers arrived, played by Ward Bond, this is how complicated it got. The head of the Texas Rangers, played by Ward Bond, the preacher. What he decided to do was this. During these key sequences, he actually plays the Ranger as John Ford. He plays him as Ford. So as the Ranger comes in, look at all the dynamics. He's playing him as Ford. Ford never said a word. But somehow Ford's personality is inside the searchers in Ward Bond. He played that part exactly as though he was John Ford himself. John Ford is somehow inside the film as the preacher, the head of the Texas Rangers. Ward Bond played it actually as Ford, with all Ford's mannerisms. Yeah. That's how many levels are going on. Okay. The searchers. Just look at this. So the great search, the great revenge quest, which will take years, begins. So the beginning of the searches, the complexity begins. Compare that with Liberty Valance. Totally different. Having spent his life shooting on location, he brings all his crews back and he shoots in the studio. Only a few shots outdoors in Liberty Valance. He constructed a great technical narrative on sound stages like Wells and stuff. Or interiors. This is the long sequence build-up to this great central confrontation with the killers and the psychopath. This is the evening of the confrontation, the cantina. So we have a feminized Stewart doing the dishes in his pinning, waiting tables, talking to Jonathan's girl. Issues start coming up: cultivation, desert, water, cactus rose myth, the desert blooming in the cactus rose. The killers are about to arrive. The heart of the great turning point of Liberty Valance. Totally different, complementary to the searchers. The other great narrative myth. And so the film has now changed. He's on collision course with the psychopath. Jonathan is in attitude. The great moral poet. That both America. America needs both. You understand forward reading to these two. Okay.